Due to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Introducing from Atlantic City, New Jersey, weighing in at 210 pounds, your Italian hero, Joey Image!
Hey everybody, how are you? Joey Image here, your favorite Italian hero, your favorite independent pro wrestler. Welcome to episode 36 of That Image Guy. We are doing the live Periscope chat right now as well. I got this new clampy phone holder gimmicky thing. It clips onto my desk, and the top of it's got a little clamp on it that holds my phone, so I can broadcast live without having to hold the phone or prop it up against something, as I had been doing when I was periscoping earlier. And I haven't periscoped in a while, actually, and a couple people mentioned that. So I figured, why not periscope tonight? I just got the clamp arm in the mail a couple days ago from Amazon. I might as well give it a shot, see how it works. And so far, so good. I mean, I like it. It's cool. It sits kind of right in front of me, but up a little bit. I think it's 3 feet long or 3 feet tall or whatever. So you clamp it on, and the phone is 3 feet above with the periscope going, and it's kind of cool, man. Everyone's kind of digging it, and it looks fine, and it holds up fine. So the actual neck of the thing is super strong because it's got to hold the weight of the phone. So I dig it. It's cool. It's cool. Pretty cool investment. I think it was like $6 on Amazon or something like that. Definitely worth it for you streamers out there. So anyway, how the hell is everybody? What are you doing? What's going on? What have you been doing? How is everyone at Periscope land? Everyone in internet land and podcast world? And I don't know, everyone else. How the hell is everyone? Anthony is great. Very good to hear, my friend. Anthony Menegoni. Follow him on Twitter. Red Sox 2009, I believe it is. REDSOX 2009. Good dude. Life's good for everybody. Very, very good to hear. Periscope land is awesome, says Josiah. So, how's everyone doing? I don't really know what I'm supposed to talk about today. I really had nothing to talk about. And as you may have noticed, I skipped last week's show. I just didn't have time. Basically, what I'm going to do is, and I don't know, I guess this is an announcement. I don't know if this is an announcement or whatever, but starting today, this show will be bi-weekly. So I'm going to do this every 2 weeks. It's only going to be temporary. It's just because I'm moving right now, and I kind of need as much time as I can for packing and, stuff like that, and just getting shit ready and moving. I mean, today's March something, 22nd, I think, 23rd, whatever it is. So I will be moved in probably within the first 2 or 3 weeks of May. So about 2 months from now. But the thing is, I'm moving into my girlfriend's house, and I don't have, right now I'm with my parents for medical reasons, which I don't really want to go into. Making a long story short, their health wasn't that great, so I gave up my apartment. I had an apartment of my own for 8 years. Their health wasn't doing that great, so I gave up my apartment and moved back here with them to help take care of them as much as I could, help out with money or bills, stuff around the house, whatever. So now it's time for me to move out. I've been here for far too long. I've only been here for 3 years, but to me, that's way too long. I wanted to be out of here within a year. But anyway, so now my girlfriend and I are moving in together. The advantage is we're moving into her house, and I'm moving from my parents' house. So I don't have a landlord on either side at my current address or my new address that's telling me I have to be in at a certain date or I have to be out by a certain date. So essentially, I can come and go as I please. I can move stuff as I please at my leisure. So that's what I'm doing. So instead of waiting until the week that I finally, or the day or the week that I finally have access to the new place and then moving all my crap at once, little by little, I'm bringing boxes over there, and we're storing them right now in her garage and the basement of her house. And then, when it's time to move the bigger stuff, then I'll do that closer to when we're actually moving in. But for now, it's just little stuff, my DVDs, my Blu-rays, my Warcraft memorabilia collection or whatever you want to call it. Stuff like that. Books. I've got a bunch of books behind me that I'm going to be moving soon. So basically that's what I'm doing. So it's just that I'm taking so much more time than I really want to, but it's because I never realized, I guess I haven't realized how much stuff I actually have. So I'm going to have to make this podcast bi-weekly for now. And it's only because of a time thing. Once I'm in the new place, in the new house, I will have a separate room that's just an office, and I'll be doing a lot of podcasting out of that office. Then it will go back to regular weekly, maybe even twice a week. Who knows? But I'll go back to at least once a week. at that point. It's just that right now, between my podcast I do on Tuesday nights, this podcast, and just moving and other stuff that I'm doing, it's just very difficult. But with my YouTube videos thrown in there as well, because this is my own show, this is the outlet that I have the most freedom with, I guess is the best way to put it. So I could cancel the show if I wanted. I can go bi-weekly. I can go daily. I do whatever I want with it because it's my show. So because this is the one that I have the most freedom with, I'm choosing to make it bi-weekly just to save myself some time. And also, I think about it as in, like, last week I didn't do it because I just didn't know what to talk about, and I spent so much time packing. And the one day that I did actually try to record, I think was Saturday, and there was construction going on at the house next to me, and it was so loud I couldn't hear anything. And it was hours. It was like there were people there from 10 or 11 a.m. until 7 or 8 at night, I believe. So I just never really got a chance to do anything. And like that kind of pissed me off, and I just didn't have the time. So, around other than that schedule, basically that Saturday, I just didn't really have the time. So kind of like, I just skipped a week, and some people asked me how come, and I just told them I didn't have time, and I was packing, and I actually got a lot packed last week and moved to my girlfriend's house. And the thing is, I still have so much more. If you look around, other than my shelf where I have all my Warcraft stuff, it looks like I didn't even do anything. It looks like I didn't move anything. So, I don't know. There's just so much stuff. So anyway, bottom line is, That Image Guy going bi-weekly for now. We'll be back in 2 or 3 months, weekly, but for now I gotta just do every 2 weeks. I'm still on Grumpy Cast every Tuesday night, though. So that's cool. And Grumpy Cast is actually off right now for a couple of weeks. Essentially, we did a show last week, myself, Daryl, and Hammond, I believe it was. And I don't remember if Hammond was off last week or the week before, but I think Hammond was on last week, and then the week before, which was March 8th, is when it was just myself and Daryl. And we had a great time. There was no censorship that night. It was a very not family-friendly show. And afterwards, we kind of decided, we had to talk, we kind of decided that if we can't all be there on whatever night, that we're just going to cancel the show, because we much rather prefer having all three of us together. We have a blast together, me and those two guys. I'm still, like, I'm still, I don't even know the word, surprised that I'm even on that show, because, it may not seem like a big thing to other people, but to me, I was a fan of that show before they asked me to be a part of it. And then, just on a whim, I happened to join them at Nerdtacular 2015, because Hammond got pulled in to do something else right in the middle of their show. So he got pulled in to do something, he was doing a spot he did on another podcast that was live, and then when he left the room, I hopped in and sat in for a few minutes that he was there. And then when he came back, I was like, oh man, it was so cool to kind of be up there with Daryl and talk and shit like that. And, and I enjoyed it. And he was like, all right, then stay up here. Why leave? So I didn't leave. I stayed there, did the rest of the live panel with them, the live show, and it was awesome. And then a few weeks later, I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this story. A few weeks later, Hammond, I think it was, asked me if I wanted to be on the show full time, and I was like, hey, are you guys serious? Like, I thought they were joking, because Hammond, or one of them, actually said it at Nerdtacular after we did it, like, hey, we should make this show a 3-piece all the time. It was hilarious. People seem to dig it. And I was like, oh, that'd be great, yeah, haha. And I sort of laughed it off as they were just kidding. And then, who knew, a few weeks later, they were like, hey, that's actually a really good idea. But anyway, enough about that. You guys can hear that show every week, every Tuesday. We are on Alpha Geek Radio, and you can also go on iTunes, just search for Grumpy Cast. Very, very popular show. A lot of people think that it's part of the Frog Pants Network, but it's not, although I would love to be. But I digress. Yankees lead the Mets right now, 5-1. Man, that's kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. Preseason baseball right now. I don't know a lot of people that keep up with it, but I get the notifications through the MLB at Bat app on my phone, and man, Yankees are killing the Mets right now, 5-1. I didn't happen to see what inning it was, but I just saw the notification pop up as I peeked over at the Periscope. All right, so bi-weekly is the podcast. Grumpy Cast weekly on Tuesday nights. I'm moving, so. And let me actually, let me talk about this right now, since I don't have a Grumpy Cast episode tonight, because one of us can't be there. Tonight, Hammond and Daryl both have something to do, and I believe next week, Hammond has something to do. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks. But since there is no Grumpy Cast tonight, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to complain. I'm going to have my own rant, which I would normally save for Grumpy Cast, but I'm going to do it here. Because, again, no Grumpy Cast for this week and next week, at least for the next 2 weeks. I'm not sure about the third week. But, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to complain right here, and I'll give you my my Grumpy Cast segment. So, I don't have any, what's the word? I don't have any music or whatever, so I'm going to hopefully just give a pause right here.
That really gets my goat.
I'll tell you what's got my goat for this week. Crossing guards. And I'll explain why. I was driving to work a couple of days ago. I've got a lot of you know I work for a temp agency now. I've got an office job. I don't really like it, but you know what are you gonna do? Since I've been out of wrestling, I was out of work for a year. It's been this is March, so March of 1 year ago was the second match in my Final Five, my retirement tour, my retirement series of matches. So after June, I had no more income from wrestling, and I had to do something. So I ended up kind of relaxing for a few months, and then I had to get an office job. Kind of sucked, but whatever. What are you gonna do? So driving this morning. Actually, this happened yesterday and today, and part of my ride is Cespedes doubles top of the fifth. Yankees lead 5-2 now. All right, so Mets at least scored one more run. Anyway. So part of my ride, I make a left to go to like the main road in my town, and then when I get there, there's a traffic light, and I make another left. So the thing is, though, the first left, there's a school right there and a crossing guard. So this morning and yesterday morning, the crossing guard like just takes her sweet ass time, like letting kids cross the street. I understand, like you don't want to rush anybody. Kids run and they trip and they like to run and shit like that, and they fall and they get hurt. Blah blah blah. That's fine. I don't care about that. That's okay. But what this fucking crossing guard did was like, there was a kid that was like 3 towns away and was just like walking over. I'm sorry, excuse me for 1 second. Periscope says double digits. I only see 9 on mine. It only tells me 9. Sorry, man. Anyway, so there's a kid that's 14 miles away, and the crossing guard's standing there with the stop sign up, waiting for this kid to get to the thing. And I'm like, yo, I have to get to work. Like, you really need to wait for this kid to get... The kid was literally one other block over. So you could have let 2 or 3 cars through and then crossed that kid. But instead, she waited for the kid to get the whole block. And, of course, the kid has no concept of, like, hey, these people have to get to work, or, they'll get in trouble, or whatever. They could lose their jobs, or I don't know, whatever. The kid has no concept of that. So he's just, like, moseying along, whatever's going on. And I'm like, yo, can you get out of the way, dude? Like, I didn't yell at him, but I wanted to. Like, dude, can you get out of the way? And, like, can this crossing guard please, like, not do this anymore? Like, if a kid is a block or more away, there's no reason you have to sit there and wait for them to get up to the next block so you can let them cross. You can go back to your little post and let cars go by, at least 2 or 3. One of them would have been mine at that time. I was the 3rd car in line this morning, 2nd car yesterday. And I would have got through, and there's no reason to wait, man. I don't understand that. So whatever, that's my rant for tonight. For that's my Grumpy Cast Got My Goat segment right now. Anyway, what else is there to talk about? I'm only going to talk about another couple things. I want to get out of here. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I like to keep these shows 20, 30 minutes. I'm already at almost 13 minutes here. So what else? Let me see. I got a show coming up called The Cooler with Rebecca Berman, who it was supposed to be tomorrow. We were going to film. It's a television show. We were going to film tomorrow. It's like an interview segment, interview show. We were going to film tomorrow, but something came up. I can't make it, so we're going to do that in April. Also tomorrow was supposed to be my appearance on the Citadel Cafe podcast with Joel Duggan. Really, really good dude. Met him a couple years ago at Nerdtacular 2014. Real good guy. And that something came up with that as well, so we can't do that tomorrow. That was also pushed back to April. So 2 things I'm really looking forward to. Also, I'm scheduled, we don't have a date yet, we're working it out right now, but I'm scheduled to be on a future episode of the Stacey Pressman Show. If you know who she is, she's a very famous comedian. She's on the Artie Lang Show right now, the Artie Lang podcast. She's a regular on that every Thursday. She's a stand-up comedian, as I said, does her own stuff. She does a lot of shows with Mike Bichetti, a lot of stuff with Bob Levy. Not sure if how many, a lot of you know who she is. Check her out on Facebook, though, and Twitter at Stacy Pressman. Like I said, real good chick, real cool, funny woman. Go check her out. Actually, if you tweet her, tell her I sent you. So what else is there to talk about? Raspberry Pi 3, somebody brought up. I just got the new Raspberry Pi 3, and I'm going to hold it up to the camera right now for all you people listening to the audio podcast. They can't see it anyway. So, actually, it's not in there. It's in the case. Not in the box anyway. But I got this case for it. It's called the Bel Air. There's a picture of it on my Twitter. It's really cool. It's a really cool little device. A lot of y'all don't know really what it is. I know that. But it's essentially, when it first came out, it was called the credit card computer. So it's a computer board literally the size of a credit card. It's got 4 USB ports. It's got an Ethernet port. It now, on the 3, it's got built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It's really cool. You can do so much stuff with it. Basically, what I've done with mine, this again, as I said, this is the Raspberry Pi 3. I also have the Raspberry Pi 1 and the Raspberry Pi 2. So what I've done with them is I've run Plex servers on them. I've run Netflix on them. I've run emulator games on them. So I think what I'm going to do when I move into my new place, when I move into my new house, is I'm probably going to set one up in my living room as a Plex, not a Plex server, but a Plex media player. And I'm sure I'll have on the same one, it uses Kodi and XBMC and stuff, so I'll probably have both of those on there. So what I'm going to do is probably that. I'll have another one set up just for maybe retro gaming. That's something that I did with my Raspberry Pi 2 a while back, and then I ended up erasing all that stuff, and because you get new updates of the emulators every couple of weeks. So once I get a solid final release, I've got a lot of beta games. A lot of beta emulation software. So once I get that office all settled and stuff, I'm gonna have a couple in there probably. I'll probably put 2 of them in there. I'll put the Pi 3 in my living room. There's a little case. It's like a little black case. It's a holder for a Roku box. So it's basically just a little bracket that you clamp onto your monitor, clamps onto a desk or back of a television. It's so you can keep the thing out of the way, so it's not visible, and you don't see all the wires hanging out or whatever. So they make one for the Raspberry Pi also. So I think once I get into the office, into the new house, I'll probably hook up at least 1 or 2 of those and put the Pis in there. And with the new one, I have a Bluetooth dongle that I was using for the previous, but the new one's got the built-in Bluetooth. So I'll probably use that, and this way I won't, it'll be behind the thing, behind the screen or the TV or the monitor, wherever I decide to ultimately put it. And I'll just use the Bluetooth through that, because I won't need to see anything. There won't be any wires anyway. And Bluetooth is rated for 30, 40 feet or whatever. So all good there, no problem there. And again, it's got Bluetooth and built-in Wi-Fi in the new one, thankfully, which frees up 2 of the USB ports I had been using. Anyway, what else is there to talk about, man? I don't even know. Hey, what have you been watching on TV? I'm only really concentrating on 3 shows right now. Better Call Saul, the OJ, People vs. OJ gimmick, American Crime Story, I think it's called, and Vinyl. And man, if you haven't watched Vinyl yet on HBO or on HBO Go, it's so fucking good. Bobby Cannavale is so awesome. Union City, Jersey guy too, Jersey boy from 15, 20 minutes from here. Union City's a town that I wrestled in a million times for Ace Pro Wrestling. Actually, I worked there for JEW too, Jersey Elite Wrestling. Or Jew Wrestling, as I called it, Jersey Elite Wrestling, JEW. So Bobby Cannavale's from that town, so he's a Jersey boy. He's got that Jersey/New York attitude, because that's probably 15 minutes from New York, right up there. But just the Vinyl itself is just an awesome show. Really good stuff. It's about rock and roll. It's basically about the rock and roll business in the early 70s. And there's a lot of kick-ass, I'm sure, as you can imagine, there's a lot of kick-ass music on it. There's some really good dudes on there. There's a Zeppelin, episode that revolves around Led Zeppelin. There's a guy on it called Hannibal. He's a black dude with this crazy hair, and he's got a band. I think that's based on Sly and the Family Stone, maybe, something like that. There's supposedly a Bruce Springsteen episode that's coming up, something about him or somehow related to his career. They did some Robert Goulet stuff. Just really a lot of awesome bands. The New York Dolls was on the first 1 or 2 episodes. And as soon as I saw them on stage in a scene, and they didn't mention the name or anything yet. And I was like, whoa, that guy looks like David Johansen. I wonder if that's supposed to be the New York Dolls. And then a couple scenes later, someone referred to them as the Dolls. And I was like, holy shit, that's really them. And then later on in the episode, Bobby Cannavale, who plays Richie Finestra, who's the owner of American Century Records, he actually says, "We got to sign the New York Dolls." And I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, New York Dolls were on a fucking episode of Vinyl. That's really cool. Richie Finestra, yo, we got to sign the New York Dolls. So I thought that was awesome. I'm a big old school 70s, 80s punk rock fan. So I thought that was awesome to see them on there. There's also another band on the show called the Nasty Bits, which I think was an actual band. I don't really remember, and I guess I could just Google it, but I haven't looked it up, actually. I could. But I think that was an actual band. But in the show, the singer is played by James Jagger, who's Mick Jagger's son. And I think he does it's a good role. It's just that, sometimes it gets kind of like he gets whiny and crybaby-ish. He's been a recurring character, and I'm assuming it's because his father, Mick Jagger, is one of the producers. It's a Martin Scorsese and Mick Jagger production. So, those two great minds in their fields, Mick Jagger in the music industry and Scorsese in the film industry, are just two of the biggest kind of giants, most successful in their field. So you put them together, and they're going to do a hell of an episode, or hell of a series, I should say. Every episode is awesome. So if you're not watching Vinyl on HBO, you got to check it out. It's super, super worth it. Better Call Saul. Who's watching Better Call Saul? Everybody, I hope. That show is freaking tremendous. I was a big Breaking Bad fan. I didn't watch it when it came out. I waited until about season 4, I think, or 3.5 or 4, and then I started from the beginning. This way, by the time I got to the end, it had already completed, and I can watch it all straight through, so that's what I did. I've actually binge-watched all of Breaking Bad from season 1, episode 1, to the end about 3 times or 4 times now. Same thing with Sopranos. Sopranos I've watched straight through 6 times. Sopranos is my number 1 favorite television show of all time. Breaking Bad probably being my number 2. I'm not sure if I have a number 3. Maybe Better Call Saul, but I don't really know. I just don't know. I mean, there's so much stuff. It's just like, I gotta say, I guess Better Call Saul probably be my number 3. At least right now. You ask me that in a week or 2 weeks, it could be different. I don't know. But right now, it's Better Call Saul. But anyway, if you're not watching either one of those, if you're not watching Vinyl and you're not watching Saul, you're missing out, man. You gotta catch up to those two. And the cool thing about Saul, Saul's in season 2, but there's only been, I think, 6 episodes as of last night. So season 1 is 10 episodes. Season 2 just hit episode 6 last night. So, you don't really have a lot to catch up on. It's not as much as, like I said, I didn't start watching Breaking Bad until they were on about season 4. So I had a lot of episodes to catch up on. But what else? OJ, oh my God. Who's watching American Crime Story, People vs. OJ? I am. It's awesome, and it's. I know it's not super accurate, and the thing that I shouldn't say bothers me. The thing that boggles me about the OJ thing not being super accurate is that stuff that they not necessarily lie about, the stuff they embellish seems so stupid because it all actually happened. So I can just go on YouTube and watch the videos and see what actually happened, and compare it to what they're showing me happened in their revisionist history version, and I can just see what's not, what's real and what's not, or what's accurate and what's not. Like, for example, a couple weeks ago, the one dude whose name I forget, he had a heart attack in the courtroom during a trial. But in reality, if you actually looked at it, there was no heart attack during the trial. If you look it up, it actually happened, I almost said backstage. It actually happened in the judge's chambers, like, later on that afternoon, I believe. It wasn't during the trial. And that is kind of a lawyer having a heart attack during a trial. That's kind of a big thing, man. That's a big thing to not get accurate when it actually happened in real life. So all you got to do is go back and Google whatever his name was. I forget. Harry Truman heart attack in trial. I don't know Harry Truman. I'm just saying. And you'll find out that it actually didn't happen during the trial. So I don't know if they're like making it blatantly obvious that, they're not being completely factual about everything, or if they think maybe people nowadays won't even bother looking stuff up. They'll just watch the show, or people, young people will probably watch it and not remember it, or not even know it, or maybe they weren't even born yet when it happened. I remember seeing it all the time. I remember seeing the OJ stuff. It started in like mid '94, I think, and I remember seeing it. It was on the TVs in my school. And I remember seeing it all the time, and I think the trial ended. The verdict came out. I think it was like October of '95 or something like that. So I remember seeing all that stuff when it actually happened. And I remember watching, like, me and my girlfriend watch it every week. And there's some stuff where I'll say, like, dude, I don't remember that. Or she'll say something like, I don't remember that. Or I didn't know that happened. Or, whatever. I don't remember that or whatever. And then we'll go look it up and I'll be like, oh, that's because it didn't happen that way. It actually happened this way. Like the lawyer with the heart attack. But still, it's still a great show. And like right now, the last 2 episodes, they're kind of teasing that Marcia Clark fucked Chris Darden, the other lawyer, the assistant counsel. I don't know if that ever happened, but I never actually looked into it, never even saw it back then, didn't realize that was going on or whatever. But that's what they just kind of touched upon the last couple of weeks. They're kind of hinting towards they had some sort of relationship, which I'm assuming would be unethical, but maybe not because they're on the same team. It's not like the plaintiff and the defendant are having a relationship or whatever. It's the 2 defendants, or I'm sorry, the 2 plaintiffs, the plaintiff lawyers essentially. So I don't know if that really is unethical or what, but I have no idea. But anyway, it's a great show. You got to check it out. And again, it's totally, well, I shouldn't say totally, but it's very biographical. So anything that you don't believe is accurate or whatever that you want to challenge, you can just Google it, and it all happened. That's what I did. I found a couple things that were surprising. Actually, I also found some stuff they didn't mention on the show, which is weird. Stuff that I thought maybe would have been important. I don't even have examples right now. I don't remember. This was a couple of weeks ago when they first started, when they showed the guy have the heart attack in the courtroom. I think it was 3 episodes ago is when I first decided, or when I first even thought of the fact that, like, hey, I could just look that up and see if it actually happened. So anyway, what else can we talk about? I'm going to talk about a crazy dream I had the other night, and then I think I'm going to go. Somebody on Twitter asked me to talk about something, and I completely forget what it was. And I actually responded saying, okay, I'll talk about that tonight, and I don't remember what it was. So I apologize, whoever you are. I will go on my Twitter when I'm done with this and save the tweet, or not like, sorry. I can't like it anymore. I have to heart the tweet now. And I will talk about it next time, either next week or the week after. But again, like I said, I'm going to be bi-weekly, so I'll talk about it in 2 weeks. Or if I remember, I can even do it during the chit-chat segment of Grumpy Cast next week. If we're on next week again. I'm not sure when we're going to be back. It's definitely within 2 weeks, though, or 3 weeks, I should say. So, I had this dream, I think it was, last week maybe. I actually wrote this out so I wouldn't forget it and wouldn't forget to talk about it. But I had a dream that Charles Manson was out of prison. First of all, let me backtrack. I have had some wacky dreams. I used to do stuff that would alter my mind, I guess. Stuff that wasn't really legal. I know I'm not going to go into specific details, but you get the idea. Nothing hard and heavy, just kind of some fun recreational stuff. And I've had some wacky dreams. I mean, I remember, and I've had the same dreams repeatedly. I remember one dream that I had twice, 2 years in a row. I'll never forget this dream because it was ridiculously insane. But I remember being on a spaceship in outer space and going to a, not a supermarket, but like a convenience store that only sold magazines. And I remember my father let me buy a Playboy magazine, and some woman next to me goes, "Do you know what's in that magazine? You can't buy that for him." And then I remember leaving the room and going into some other room, and there was a wrestling ring. Except in the middle of the ring, the canvas was not flat. It was a huge mound, like a giant anthill in the middle. Although it was covered by canvas, the canvas stretched. So I remember watching Batman wrestling the Ultimate Warrior. And Batman body slammed the Ultimate Warrior and he exploded. So I remember that. I had that dream multiple times. That might be the only dream I actually remember having more than once. I don't understand how he explodes from a body slam, because I body slammed hundreds of guys in the 15 years that I wrestled, and no one ever exploded. I mean, I guess only Batman can do that, or only Batman has that power. I don't really understand how to do that, but it never worked for me. But anyway, so that was that. But anyway, this new dream last week or whatever it was, Charles Manson was out of prison. Somehow I was his caretaker. And he was kind and polite, which is Charles Manson, really. He still had the swatty on his forehead. You know, he's got that swastika on his forehead. He still had that, but he was very kind and respectful of everybody. He cut his hair. He had short hair. He cut it so it looked presentable or respectable. He had nice what was it? He had a nice trimmed beard. He shaved his face up real nice so it looked presentable. He still had a little bit of scruff, but you know, it wasn't anything looking like homeless or anything like that. He was quiet. He didn't talk very much. He was very respectful when he did talk. And I wrote in my show notes here, I cannot stress enough how polite he was. I don't know. It was so weird. It was Charles Manson. He was such a nice guy. And I don't know how the hell I became his caretaker. I didn't get to that part in the dream. But he was super nice, very polite. He did his own laundry at my house. I don't know where that came from. He bought himself new clothes. He was learning how to drive. He was very kind. I had a family barbecue. It was myself, my girlfriend, my parents, and one of my sisters were there, and Charles Manson. And he was very kind and respectful to my entire family. My father introduced him to people. My father had some friends there that, so from my family, that's all that was there was myself, my girlfriend, my parents, and one of my sisters. But there were friends of my family there. No friends of mine other than my girlfriend, but there were friends of my parents there. And my father, introduced him to people. Hey, this is Charles. This is Joe's friend. Joe's his caretaker, blah, blah. And I don't know how this happened. And then I woke up, and that's all I remember. And it was so weird. I don't understand, I don't understand what causes that. What causes an insane dream like that? What causes a kid who's, when I first had this dream, I must have been 14, 15 maybe, that Batman wrestled the Ultimate Warrior in space on a ring that had a giant mound in the middle of it. And he body slammed the Ultimate Warrior, Batman did, and he exploded. Batman body slammed the Warrior, and Warrior exploded. How does that happen? What causes a dream like that? Again, stuff I did back then, maybe, but is it still having an effect so many years later? That I'm going to be 39 on June 2nd in a few months, 2.5 months, and that the stuff I did back then is still having an effect on my weird brain? Jesus. It's not even, I wasn't even watching a Charles Manson movie or listening to his CD. I have 2 of his CDs and 1 of his vinyls, or the other way around. I have 1 of his CDs and 2 vinyls. But I wasn't even listening to that or anything. I had nothing. I was not doing anything Charles Manson related that day. So I don't even know how the thought of him got into my head. But somehow I was taking care of him, and he was a really good guy. And I don't know how that happens or what causes these type of dreams. If you do, let me know. Send me a tweet at JoeyImage on Twitter, or add me on Facebook at facebook.com/realjoeyimage. You can check me out on YouTube, youtube.com/JoeyImage. You can also check out my website, thatimageguy.com. It's super boring and it's super basic. It's essentially just a list of all my social media accounts where you can find me. Instagram.com/JoeyImage. And perhaps one of the most important websites that I am a part of, prowrestlingtees.com/JoeyImage. I cannot express how important that website is to me. That's part of my income. I really can help. I really can help. I really can use the help. I can use the income. And help me out, would you, folks? Thanks, man. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. I was kind of all over the place talking about everything, but I hope you all are used to that by now. Again, this has been episode 36. I love y'all. Thank you so much for subscribing, downloading, and listening, and watching the Periscope, and listening to the podcast. Thank you guys very much. I'll talk to you soon.
This has been a presentation of the Three Ropes Media Network. For more, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/3ropes or visit us at threeropes.com.